Okay, so now let us look at the conflict view of religion, the conflict theories, and of course, the first conflict theory that we are going to look at is Marxism and traditional Marxism. Now, of course, traditional Marxists extend their viewpoints to religion like they did in the case of media and other sociological institutions. They see religion as an institution which maintains the status quo for the capitalist exploiting classes. Okay, plain and simple. This is exactly what they had said about the media. It's exactly what they have said about religion. So, yes, it does promote consensus, but uh, the idea behind trying to explain everything about everything in religion is based on maintaining the power of the ruling classes. As you can see here, the king is surrounded by religious figures, the priests, and so religion, what it does is it helps people see the world as it is. It helps them make sense of the existing order, no matter how exploitative and ruthless and cruel it is and unjust it is. And it sort of gives people the idea that this existing order is somehow related to a divine design. That makes religion an oppressive force, which is operated in societies that are unequal. Remember, in 1844, when Marx presented his theory, there was a lot of poverty and inequality in Europe, especially in the UK and France. So, what does Marx say then? He says that the job of religion then is to make people live in abject poverty by helping them accept the status quo, which is the existing miserable situation. And religion says don't really question anything, don't challenge the relationship with the ruling class, see life as part of a grand uh, supernatural agenda. All right, and that makes religion a very important source of social control. So, according to Marx, then religion becomes a method used by the exploiting classes to control the lower classes. Now, why does it become a source of social control? Okay, because if there is poverty, then people will see it as a god-given thing. You know, it's God's design. You were meant to be in poverty, so just remain there. Why question why certain people are poor and why certain people are rich? Now, of course, I think that in this he may have received some uh, impetus from the theories or from the views of Calvin, who believed that those who were rich were there because of predestination and because of those things. So anyway, Marx says that religion then justifies poverty, and then comes his famous statement that religion is the opiate of the masses. Why? Because once you give them religion, they will not question anything. They will not try to change anything for the better. For them, then everything is going to be a justification unto itself. So Turner then presents his theory, and he argues that religious um, convictions have always been there, but to some extent, he rightly argues, I believe he rightly argues, that the working classes have never been particularly religious. Okay, and he's talking about the Christian world, but I think that's true of other classes as well. I mean, how many people in the working class in Hindu society were actually religious? Not many. Okay, because the religion was a close preserve of the Brahmins. How many people in Muslim societies are actually religious in the working class? If you go and find out, really very few who actually know what they are doing. How many are worshipping 5 times a day? Very few. Okay, so this is his observation, and this observation is partly correct. uh, And then to aggravate the situation, then the societies have become secular. Religion plays a little role in the collective lives of several societies, right? So these are the various things. And of course, Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, one of the trenchant opponents of Marxism, comments. I mean, this is something that he has said very. He said it very sarcastically. He's called him a prophet, and for him, Marx is a prophet of doom. Marx is a person who takes people the wrong way. He is against religion. Please do keep in mind that Iqbal was a very religious man, in the sense that he was extremely spiritual. He was a spiritual person, and then he opposes them. And of course, Iqbal's point of view was later adopted by the religious clergy of Iran. So now there are various criticisms of Marxists' viewpoint. If religion is a source of maintaining the status quo, then what explains certain religious movements which have overthrown secular regimes which wanted to preserve the status quo, like the king of Iran, okay, who wanted to preserve his position and who wanted to preserve his power through secular interaction with the West. But uh, he tried to westernize Iran. He tried to do things to get religion out of the Iranian political system. But ultimately, he was overthrown and he had to leave his country. All right, and he was replaced by fervent religious. Religious people who wanted to run Iran according to the Islamic religious order, and they were welcomed enthusiastically in Iran. So what explains that? If Marx is right, if Marx is right that religion is a method of maintaining the status quo, then what does the Iranian revolution show? It simply shows that it is also a method of bringing about big changes. And who can forget the other fundamentalist country in the world, the United States of America, where religion played a very, very important role in the civil rights movement, which is simply another name for the movement through which the blacks got political rights in the United States. So that brings us to what is called the liberation theory of Boff and Boff, okay, who studied the involvement of the Catholic Church in political movements. And there has been a very, very strong involvement of religious, both Catholic and Protestant movements in politics. We will see that later in this chapter. So the liberation theory then says that it's a political philosophy which says that church can and it should use its power to liberate the poor from poverty. So this is where religion is going, in the exact opposite direction to what Mr. Marx had argued. He had said that religion will make people docile, and it'll fetter people. It's going to track people in the status quo. But here, religion is performing a completely different set of functions. So let us now come to neo Marxism. Again, the word neo in Marxism, when it's applied, then what should come to your mind? When we looked at when we were studying media, we looked at neo-Marxism as applied to the media. So over there also there was one word. The key word there was hegemony. Okay, and hegemony also is created because various groups have various interests. So the word neo points towards various groups, and then the hegemony. So the neo-Marxists say that yes, there is a dominant position for the capitalist class, but that is not because the capitalist class is uh, imposing religion on people. It's a mutual give and take through consent. Okay, um, a system is created whereby the lower classes participate in religious institutions in a way that benefits the ruling class. So the relationship here is more based on consent rather than pure domination. Okay. This is not this is more in the realm of politics, but uh, this is like hegemony. I'm just trying to explain what hegemony is, not religion, just hegemony. I mean, this is the president of Pakistan, Ayub Khan, and this is the president of the United States, Mr. Kennedy. So Ayub Khan went to the United States and offered the United States his services in trying to prevent the expansion of the Soviet ideology. So the United States did not come and capture Pakistan. It did not invade Pakistan. This was based on mutual consent that we will accept your upper hand. So that is what hegemony is. And this is not in the religious context, but this is trying to understand. And the same thing happened in the 1980s when the president of Pakistan, Ziaul Haq, went to the United States, stood in the Oval Office, and told the President Reagan that Pakistan would willingly cooperate. And then the same thing happened in Musharraf's time. And that just does not happen in Pakistan. It's happening currently in Iran, okay, where Iran is willingly offering its cooperation to Russia, okay, in a bid to increase Russian influence. Russia hasn't invaded Iran. It is not imposing its system from the top. It is Iran which is inviting them to come. So this is a more of a consent based uh, acceptance of somebody's upper hand. Okay, so we can apply the same to religion then. Okay, so in religion, what happens is this was hegemony purely in the political realm, because it's very easy to understand hegemony from politics. So now let's apply it to religion. When you say hegemony in religion, it means that one class accepts the superiority of the other class in terms of religion, and it allows religion to maintain the status quo because it feels that both classes will benefit. Um, so this social scale which develops, okay, the upper, the lower class, it is argued by the neo-Marxists that it is itself a creation. The social differences themselves then are a creation of religious of social institutions like education, media, and religion. Okay, and they transmit together. These three institutions transmit this status, and it make and it becomes possible for a religion to then influence societies in ways uh, which supports the majority view. Okay, so this is this is a picture of a religious movement in Pakistan, and you can see that the person here, whatever your opinion about him is good or bad, but he's supported by the people. So the people are requesting the religious establishment to come and take over the reins of power. That is a classic example of hegemony in religion. So then, in this case, there is no indoctrination. Okay, people are just accepting ideas. They're not powerless. They're not powerless. They are in a position to challenge these religious ideas. There's no ideological indoctrination, but people are allowing these forces to come. And there are various reasons for that. One reason is that many in these countries, many institutions have failed, and the mosque remains, or the church remains, or the temple remains the only institution. Uh, so religion then is not a terribly oppressive force for the working class, but it is a source of cohesion and coming together for the ruling class. It provides moral guidelines. So does media in hegemonic neo Marxist thinking. Media also provides certain guidelines of behavior. Religion provides these guidelines in the moral sphere. How are we going to marry? How are we going to inherit property? How are we going to um, um, you know, uh, do how are we going to interact with other elements in society? All right, so that is about it as far as the Marxist and the neo-Marxist approaches to religion are concerned. So in the next video, then I'm going to look at the Weberian approach to religion. Thank you very much.